NBA Lead will bring the fans what they want, when they want. NBA Lead, for the fans, by the fans.
Are you looking for some sick sports apparel? DHTK designed some of the newest and coolest brands such as Represent, Game Over, and Don't Hate the King. DHTK's vision is to integrate culture, fashion, and attitude that best represents the players and caters to us, the fans. Click on DHTK.com and subscribe to their mailing list for an automatic 10% off your order. If you are a basketball fan, follow DHTK on social media. Visit DHTK.com for more details. DHTK.com. You don't have to be a king to dress like one.
We are back for Full Court Press Radio here on the Happy Hour Network. I'm your host, Dan Thompson, checking in tonight with my main man, Eric Ciseneros of NBAFCPRadio.com. Big shout out to our good friend Rod Strickland for stopping by. It's been the last about 12 to 15 minutes with us talking hoops. And, you know, Eric, before we go any deeper, I got to give a good shout out to our friends at DHTK. Because after Steph Curry's performance, it was game over for the Portland Trail Blazers. I didn't mention that last segment. Game over, series over. Let's talk about a series that's not over. The San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder will be playing Game 5, and it's going on actually right now in San Antonio right now. And, Eric, let's be honest. This is the one series that, if you're in the chat rooms with us here in the Full Court Press Radio app, which is available in the Apple Store as well as the Android Store. So if you want to see this argument that me and Eric have been having since when we had this argument, since the app has been out, we have been going back and forth about this for a long time because the Spurs and Thunder are two teams that are basically playing for the shot at the Golden State Warriors. And for me, I've said all season that this Thunder team is going to win the Western Conference. And even with Steph Curry's performance last night, they're still going to win the Western Conference. But there's one team that's standing in the way, and that is the San Antonio Spurs. So right now it's 22-16, early part of the second quarter in San Antonio. The game is on TNT. But since you guys are hanging out with us, you can put that game on mute. I know people want to hear Chuck and Charles and those guys, but Chuck and Greg and those guys at the halftime, and Kenny, but we're kind of better than them. So, Eric, you watched Game 4. Kevin Durant lost his mind in the fourth quarter. I mean, he got into a Billy Donovan in the sideline right before halftime, and Kevin Durant went on a fourth quarter assault last night, Game 4. Durant was perfect from the floor. Everything Kevin could do, he could do nothing wrong. He made every shot, and he outscored the San Antonio Spurs. Eric, in that one sense, was that the Kevin Durant game that everybody expected? And two, if that is, could that possibly be Kevin Durant's best game left in Oklahoma City uniform?
Ouch. Okay, well, first off, Kevin, this is my open letter to you. Please come to LA. No, I'm just playing around. Kevin, please put on that purple and gold. No, but in all honesty, though, Kevin's not leaving. He's going to stay. He's going to resign. He's going to talk to a few teams. It may take about a week. Come July 8th, he's going to put pen to the paper, and he's going to re-up with Oklahoma City. And what I think he's going to do is he's going to do one of those LeBron deals where he does that, maybe like a 3-year, but opt out after that first year when Westbrook gets out, just to give it that one more shot. I think. Other than that though, Kevin Durant went beastly as he should. I mean, that's exactly the kind of game he has to play to beat the San Antonio Spurs. He needs to play at the upper echelon of all NBA players just to even have a shot at because let's be honest here. This is the greatest San Antonio Spurs team that's ever been assembled, and there's been a lot of good teams. Not even good teams. I'm sorry, that's disrespectful for you to even say. There's been a lot of great teams. I mean, it's debatable if you want to call them a dynasty, because a dynasty to me means back-to-backs, and they've never really done that. But they've been just consistently good and always on the top. So, if you want to call them a dynasty, it is what a dynasty, then you go ahead and say that. But, this is the best San Antonio Spurs team that has ever been assembled in my own personal opinion. So Kevin Durant needs to play every bit of that guy that was supposed to be the successor to LeBron James as the best player on the planet up until Steph Curry came from out of nowhere. But, I mean, he needs to have that kind of game. Westbrook needs to have his triple-double type games, I mean, just to beat the Spurs. The Spurs, like I said, I had predicted the Spurs 4-1. The series is tied 2-2 right now, and Oklahoma City is winning by 6 right now, 26-20 in the second. If I had to say who's going to win today, I'm going to say it's going to be San Antonio, just off of, I think the Thunder have already won one game too many. Go ahead.
Well, for me, if you look at the series the way it's shaped, the turning point for me in this series is when I think Donovan and Durant had words during Game 4. I think that kind of lit a fire into Kevin. And I think Russell has to realize this, and I think this has got to be the Thunder model going forward. And Russell is the point guard. I mean, he handles the ball most of the time. If Russell's shot's not falling, you have to give the ball to Kevin. All right? You got to do it. Even if your shot's falling, you still give it to Kevin. But especially if your shot's not falling, you got to put the ball in the hands of, let's just be honest, the best scorer in the NBA. I mean, I don't think there's not a guy in the league, and Eric, I don't think you disagree with me on this one. There's nobody who scores in the league better than Kevin Durant. Hands down. I mean,
I don't know.
He's so versatile.
I don't know.
There's nothing he really can't do. You can't guard him. It's hard to guard him perimeter. He's too big for most players. He's quicker than most guys, and he can handle the basketball, and he can hit from here on the court. So for me, Kevin Durant is just that guy that just can do everything. And tonight, Durant's got 9 points in 13 minutes, and really, that's why the Thunder are up, because Russell Westbrook is starting to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. But here's a question, Eric, and this is something that is kind of interesting. For the Thunder to win this series now, they have to win a second game in San Antonio. I know what you're thinking. People think, okay, 2 games in San Antonio? The Spurs have only lost 2 home games all season. Do you think, now take off your Spurs fan hat for a second, that the Thunder can pull off a second win? A second win in San Antonio, whether it be either Game 5 or Game 7. Can this Thunder team, the way it's assembled, we're talking the way Dion Waiters was playing in Game 4, Steven Adams played out, I think might have been his best game all season in Game 4. Without much from Serge Ibaka, but you have Enes Kanter. Can this team win one more game in San Antonio?
They're done. They're maxed out. It's over. San Antonio, and that's funny that you say the San Antonio Spurs fan hat, because, oh man, I am nowhere close to being a San Antonio Spurs fan. Matter of fact, I'm rooting for Oklahoma City. I'm actively rooting against myself. I mean, I love Kevin Durant. I love Russell Westbrook. I'm a UCLA fan, so naturally Russell Westbrook is going to be one of my favorite players. I do root for Texas. That's one of the 4 college teams I do go for. Kevin Durant came from there. And in the beginning of the season, I had predicted, and I even wrote that in one of my articles, my recap of all my conference predictions and whatnot, and division predictions, that the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to win the championship this year. I had them pegged as the champions. I had them winning just because it was about that time. I mean, that team should have been a dynasty, or this current team should have been a dynasty, and should have at least have 1 or 2 under the belt, But then, LeBron and the big 3 happens. Curry came out of nowhere, and his big 3 happens. So, I mean, it's not like I'm all for the San Antonio Spurs. I really want to go for the Thunder, but just like I said, this is the most nastiest, just craziest Spurs team that's ever been assembled. And like I said, I had them winning 4-1. It's already 2-2, so just naturally I'm going to have to say that their time has run out. And Kevin Durant has played his last series, well, until free agency. So if he stays in Oklahoma City, that's to be determined. But yeah, it's San Antonio all the way through.
Speaking of the Spurs, the Spurs have been, like you said, one of the most consistent teams in the NBA. I'm going to say over the last almost over a decade. Greg Popovich has basically built this team with a unit that is hard to stop. It's one of the best. I think, like you said, it's a dynasty. No matter how you want to stretch, no matter how you want to say it, it's a dynasty. And why it's a dynasty? Because this organization has been very consistent. Eric, there's been, 6 finals in the Tim Duncan era? 7? That's pretty impressive. But at the end of every era, there's always has to be a fallout. And for me, I don't know if it's for you, but for me, it's painful to watch Tim Duncan right now. It pains me to watch Tim Duncan at this stage of the game right now. Duncan, I know he's one of the greatest players that we'll ever see in the NBA. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever get the Kobe-type farewell tour, but Duncan is basically, to me, one of the top 7 to 8 players in the history of the NBA. And it's very arguable. I mean, I think he's the greatest power forward that's ever stepped foot on the floor. And there's not much he hasn't done in the league. But to me to watch Tim Duncan at this stage right now, Eric, in the playoffs, he's averaging 4.4 points a game in the playoffs. Eric, at this point, is it time for the big fundamental to sit down at this point when the season's over?
I think he should have retired. I think he should have retired when they won the championship against the Miami Heat a couple of years back. I mean, I thought for him, I mean, he was already kind of slowing down, wasn't really producing as much as we've come to expect. Granted, he's been in the league for a long time. I get that, but I wish that he would have just rode it out into the sunlight or into the sunset. With that championship. So I mean, yeah, it's already been 2-3 years past due. So yeah, he should definitely hang it up. Do I think he'll hang it up? I'm not really sure. I think he actually comes back in another year. But it is a little bit painful to watch, to be honest.
I mean, Duncan, if you think about it for a second, Eric, Tim Duncan's 40 years old. Like, Tim Duncan's been in the league 19 years.
Yeah.
It's just hard to fathom. Like, it's been that long. Like, we talk about Rod Strickland playing over in parts of 3 decades. He played in the 80s, the 90s, and then the 2000s.
Yeah, he played
Tim
16
Duncan
years.
Played 18 years. And Tim
16.
Duncan is one of the few guys like Kobe has played his entire career for one team. And he's done it in 3 decades. Duncan played in the late 90s. He played in the 2000s. He's playing right now. And it's like I said, for me, it's painful to watch Tim do it right now. It's a struggle for him. I don't know. Like tonight, he's played 7 minutes and hasn't scored a single point. Hasn't done anything across the board. Just missed 1 shot. But at the end of the day, the Spurs are in transition, and I'm hoping it's the last year for Duncan. Tony Parker might have another year or 2 left. Ginobili might have a year or so left. But I think this is the end of the Spurs as we see them. Will the Spurs be contenders? As long as you still have Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, and then whatever cap space they fill with the Duncan, Parker, Ginobili void, I think they'll be fine for the next. And then you got to think they still have 2 or 3 European prospects, and they got Eric's favorite player, Boban, sitting on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully he doesn't get maxed out by some team this summer that potentially will pay Boban a whole lot of money for a whole lot of nothing. I'm just worried about that. But 347-857-1947. We have spent 45 minutes on this show, the night of the 60-minute show, talking about the Western Conference and also other point guards around the league. But, Eric, there's one thing we have forgotten. There's a series in the Eastern Conference that's ended and a series in the Eastern Conference that might not never end.
Yeah.
When we go to break, we're going to talk about the series that's not ending. And we're looking to see how much is LeBron James relaxing. Now, Eric, I want you to think about this before we go to break. Do you think LeBron James is on a banana boat somewhere? And yes, I did say banana boat, if you remember the reference from last year, with Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony somewhere, and Chris Bosh somewhere in the Dominican, waiting for this next series to start? I'll get Eric's opinion about that We'll be right back in 90 seconds. Don't hate the king. This is Full Court Press Radio here on the